as right now we are joined by Rivals Mike Farrell. Mike, thanks for joining us here on UND.com via Skype. There you see Mike. 18 student athletes have committed to play Notre Dame football here at the University of Notre Dame. In the big picture, what do you make of this class so far?
I mean, it's a tremendous class. I mean, you see that they took advantage clearly of the great undefeated season that they had. And I think the Notre Dame brand has been improved even further from what it was in the minds of kids. When you have some prospects that are interested in you and they've only been interested in you for a week, and then they end up committing after getting on campus and feeling the environment and talking to some of the other recruits, you can tell that Notre Dame has that cachet that you need with other prospects around the country. So they recruit nationally. They don't have a tremendous local recruiting base, and I think they've hit, pretty much every corner of the United States.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a pretty good class rankings-wise. How do you think it matches up to some of those higher powers on just a national scale?
Well, I think it's about need. Obviously there's more speed in the Southeast, and speed wins national titles. We saw that with the SEC for the last so many years. But it depends on what type of football you want to play. Notre Dame offensively wants to spread things out. They want agile offensive linemen. They want more speed at the wide receiver position. They want quarterbacks that can make good decisions, and they want running backs that are versatile and can catch the ball out of the backfield. And on defense, obviously they were one of the best defenses in the country last year in that 3-4 scheme they play. They really, I think, needed help in the defensive secondary. I think they've addressed that. And the linebacker group is outstanding. So I think the defense is going to stay strong. I think the offense will improve with this class.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it a little bit there. Recruiting, to your needs. We've seen 4 offensive linemen, 4 wide receivers, 3 linebackers. How important is it for a staff to, when they hit the recruiting trail, to really address those needs?
Well, offensive line has been a problem at Notre Dame over the last many years. They need physical, big guys. But in a spread, you need guys that can also move, and I think they've done that. Guys like Steve Elmer, Colin McGovern, those guys. Steve Elmer has an NFL body right now. He's the type of guy that I think can plug in at a left to right tackle pretty early in his career, but can also move very well. McGovern is a mobile guy also. But I mean, really what Notre Dame wants to do is improve their athleticism on the offensive side of the ball. That's where you get a guy like Greg Bryant, the running back, who's tremendous in space. And the wide receivers, Torrey Hunter, Will Fuller. I mean, these guys, if Torrey Hunter fully recovers from his injury, he's going to be a great tandem with Will Fuller, because both of those guys can move the chains and also stretch the field.
This is Coach Kelly's 4th class, and he mentioned it in the interview earlier with Jack Nolan, how this is really the first class that encompasses everything that they're looking for. It seems like every class that he's brought in has been better than the last. What kind of job has him and his staff done?
Well, I think this class is more balanced than his previous classes, and that's why I like it so much, because they hit so many needs offensively and defensively. In years past, sometimes they'd strike out at cornerback, or other years they'd strike out at wide receiver. But this year, when you look at every position, I think they've hit a need, and it's a much more balanced class. They've done a great job, obviously, on the recruiting trail. They've taken advantage of the exciting season that they had, and I think it's going to get even better next year, because a lot of the results you see from a great season like this occur the year after in recruiting. So the Notre Dame name is very popular amongst juniors, sophomores now as well.
Last year we saw a guy who early enrolled, defensive lineman Sheldon Day, step onto the field, make an impact. We have 5 early enrollees this year. What kind of advantage does that give those student athletes?
Well, it gets them in the weight program earlier. They're in winter conditioning already. They get to go through spring ball, so they get to learn about the speed of the game. They get to learn about the depth chart and how they have to compete next to the guy against the guy next to them. I mean, it's very important when you're in the weight room with the guy at your position that's ahead of you to see what he's doing, to mimic what he's doing, to actually try to exceed what he's doing and to compete with him directly. So it gets them that college experience early. Then they go into June and off-season conditioning, and then they've got that much more of an advantage of the freshmen that arrive in June and August.
The recruiting process can get complicated sometimes for potential student athletes. Can you just touch on that a little bit, the process of becoming a football player at the collegiate level and the whole recruiting aspect of it?
Well, recruiting's become, as you mentioned, more complicated. NCAA rules continue to change, and earlier commitments continue to occur. And I think with earlier commitments come a lot more second thoughts. These kids have a lot to think about, and they are tempted quite a bit, to look around at other schools after they're committed, or even some of these kids that have committed to Notre Dame had been previously committed to other schools. So, I think the process is a bit convoluted right now. I'd love to see an early signing period to just slow things down. If you're ready, you're ready. But a lot of these kids also committed and never looked around, stayed true to the Notre Dame program, and actually helped recruit other kids to the program. So I think that's one of the keys. The thing I've noticed about Notre Dame prospects, and this isn't, rocket science, they choose Notre Dame for more than just football, and they're well-rounded individuals. And I think that's every year for Notre Dame, over the last 30, 40, 50 years. And you notice that about the kids and their character.
Of the guys signed so far, some of them have been higher heralded, Jalen Smith, Greg Bryant. Do you see any of them making an immediate impact on either side of the ball, much like maybe Kavari Russell did this past season?
I think Jalen Smith will play, obviously in a 3-4 set. And again, it's a hybrid set, but in a 3-4 set, you need linebackers and you need depth at that position. And he's an outstanding football player, very athletic, a bit skinny right now, so he'll have to fill out and get stronger. But he's so good at getting skinny in the hole and avoiding blocks, and his length really allows him to be excellent in pass coverage. I think Greg Bryant's going to play. I think there's an opportunity at running back for him to make an immediate impact, especially with his speed in space, the way they spread teams out. So some of these guys will impact early. I think Will Fuller is another one who'll get on the field early because he's such an accomplished route runner and he's so college ready. Not physically, he's still got to get bigger and stronger, but you can put him in the slot right now and he's going to give some people fits because he's a technician on the field.
Mike, I'd like to thank you for joining us. Your final thoughts on this recruiting class for the University of Notre Dame here?
I don't think there's anything to complain about if you're a Notre Dame fan. I think they did a great job. The staff did a terrific job. And certainly you always want to finish near the top in the country, and have done that, and that's the bottom line.
Thank you, Mike. That's Mike Farrell of Rivals.com.